Welcome back to the AI Timeline channel. Another year of something in tech. This time it's the year of AI agents.
Right.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see if it lives up to the hype. But hey, if you like what you hear today, please leave a like and subscribe. You know what we're talking about today, right?
OpenAI's operator.
You got it. We're taking a deep dive into this thing. And, this isn't just your typical chatbot. We've all seen those, right? This thing is stepping out of the chatbot.
Into the real world.
Exactly. It's actually taking action online. Kind of wild, right?
A lot of people are saying it's like a superpowered digital assistant, like one that can book your reservations, order groceries, all that.
Oh, yeah. And even handle multiple tasks at once, all through a web browser. I mean, it almost sounds too good to be true.
You think so?
Well, I mean, how many times have we seen AI kind of stumble through simple tasks,
Oh, definitely.
But OpenAI, they actually released some pretty compelling examples of operator in action. You remember that one where it fixed the wrong location on OpenTable for that restaurant in San Francisco?
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
I can't even tell you how many times I've done that myself.
Yeah.
Searching for a place, and OpenTable defaults to like a location in a completely different state.
Yeah, it's so annoying. But Operator, it was able to catch that error, just based on what the user was asking for. And then it corrected it to the San Francisco location.
And it even proposed other times for the reservation.
Yeah.
And then confirmed everything with the user before actually booking it.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, right?
It is. It's slick. And it wasn't just booking reservations. There was another one, you remember, where it actually deciphered a handwritten grocery list.
Oh, yeah, and placed an Instacart order.
Can you imagine? Sometimes I can barely read my own handwriting. What do you guys think, listeners? Would you find this level of AI assistance helpful, or is it starting to feel a little too creepy, like a Black Mirror episode? Let us know in the comments.
Well, I think that grocery list demo is really interesting. I mean, it shows how Operator can handle different kinds of input. Like, it's not just processing text, it's actually understanding images.
Images, how?
Yeah, it's using GPT-4o, and it can see. So it scanned that handwritten list, figured out what the items were. It even cross-checked the prices on Instacart to make sure it was getting the best deal.
So it's basically like a personal shopper who also happens to be a handwriting expert.
Okay.
Color me impressed. But okay, before we get too carried away here with all the possibilities, let's take a look under the hood. How does this thing actually work? Is it like real AI magic, or is there some kind of clever programming trickery going on here?
Well, it's not magic exactly, but it is pretty clever. It uses what's called a perception reasoning action loop.
A what loop?
A perception reasoning action loop.
Okay, I'm listening.
So imagine you're looking at a website, and you kind of scan the page, you see what you want to interact with, and then you do something, like clicking a button or filling out a form.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's basically how we all use the internet.
Right. Well, Operator does the same thing, but digitally. It takes a screenshot of your screen, and then it uses GPT-4o to analyze it, to find all the interactive elements and stuff. And then it uses reinforcement learning to, plan out the steps to achieve your goal. And then finally, it actually executes those steps by simulating mouse clicks and typing.
So it's literally seeing the website, like the same way we do.
Yeah.
And then figuring out how to use it. That's amazing. It also makes me think about, those websites that are just impossible to use, like even for humans. Do you think Operator could handle those?
Well, that's the thing about Operator. It's designed to work with websites that are made for humans. So, yeah, it should be able to adapt to almost any website. It doesn't need any special APIs or integrations.
So it's a lot more flexible than like traditional automation tools.
Way more.
This is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
OpenAI has really created something remarkable here.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Nothing is perfect.
That's true.
So what are Operator's limitations? What can it do? At least not yet.
Well, it's shown really impressive performance in benchmarks, like even better than other AI agents from companies like Anthropic and Google.
Wow. Right.
Yeah. But it can't do everything. It's not equipped to handle anything super high risk, like online banking, for example. At least not yet.
Yeah. That's probably for the best. I don't know if I'm ready to hand over my entire financial life to an AI.
Yeah.
Just yet. But let's talk about a different kind of risk. Privacy.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is obviously collecting a ton of data about what we do online.
Right.
How can we be sure that that information is protected?
Well, OpenAI has emphasized this 3-layer protection system for Operator. And it's supposed to address those concerns. So first, they've built in what they call user control. So like you have to specifically confirm things like payments or logins, and it automatically blocks any tasks that it considers sensitive. Then there's a big focus on transparency with the data. So you can choose not to share your data for, like training the model, and you can delete all your activity logs anytime you want. And then finally, they say they have really robust security monitoring going on with red teams constantly testing for misuse and real-time systems that can detect and prevent things like prompt injections.
It sounds pretty good.
Right.
But it's hard not to be, at least a little bit concerned. Especially when you think about the bigger picture. OpenAI has these big plans for Operator, right?
Huh?
Like giving developers API access to build their own custom agents.
Yeah.
And even integrating it into ChatGPT. Can you imagine just asking ChatGPT to do all your holiday shopping for you?
It's a pretty bold vision. And the fact that they have all these partnerships already with companies like DoorDash, Uber, and Instacart, it kind of tells you that AI agents are about to become a much bigger part of our lives.
Exactly. And that brings us to the big questions, right? What are the potential downsides of all of this? Job displacement is a very real concern here. What happens when AI can do a lot of the tasks the humans are doing now?
All right. That's a critical question, and it's one that deserves a lot more discussion.
We also have to think about what happens if we become too reliant on AI.
Yeah.
What happens to, our own problem-solving skills, our critical thinking abilities, if we're constantly outsourcing those things to an AI agent?
Something to think about for sure.
Yeah, it's like we're going into uncharted territory here. OpenAI keeps saying they're taking a cautious approach. But who really gets to decide how fast this technology moves forward? And what does a future with AI agents everywhere actually look like?
Those are the million-dollar questions, and I don't think anyone has the answers yet. But one thing is for sure, this is bigger than just technology now.
Absolutely.
This is about society, ethics, maybe even a little bit of philosophy.
Exactly. It's about how we want to, shape our relationship with technology moving forward.
Hmm.
So now that we've talked about kind of the what and the how of OpenAI's Operator, let's dig into the why. What are the implications of this technology for us as individuals, for businesses, for society as a whole?
Let's get into it. It really is fascinating, We're moving from this world where AI was kind of stuck doing just specific tasks, and now it's becoming like autonomous, integrated into our lives.
Yeah.
Operator is a perfect example of that shift.
Absolutely. It's a total game changer. But like we were just saying, there are some serious questions to think about.
For sure.
Like, what about the potential impact on jobs? Automation has been a concern for, forever.
Yeah.
And these AI agents, like Operator, they can make things even worse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about factory jobs or manual labor anymore. We're talking about like white-collar jobs, service industry jobs, maybe even creative jobs.
Really?
Yeah, think about it. Customer service reps, data entry clerks, virtual assistants, maybe even travel agents.
Wow.
These are all jobs that, could potentially be automated by something like Operator.
It's a little unsettling, isn't it? What happens to all the people whose jobs are replaced by AI? Do they just become obsolete? What do you guys think, listeners? Are we heading towards a future where robots take our jobs? Or is there a way for humans and AI to, work together? Let us know in the comments.
It's a good question, and it's one that we need to be thinking about now. Some experts believe that AI will actually create new jobs, even as it displaces others.
Okay.
But those new jobs, they'll probably require different skills.
Right.
Which means we need to be investing in education and retraining programs to help people adapt to this new landscape.
So it's about preparing for the future, not being afraid of it. I like that.
Exactly.
But even if we can kind of navigate that job market transition, there's still this bigger question, right?
What's that?
What happens to society when AI becomes so widespread? Do we lose our sense of purpose, our drive to, achieve things?
Yeah.
If we're always relying on AI to handle everything for us?
That's a deep one. It's an interesting philosophical question, isn't it? Will we become complacent, too reliant on AI to think for us, to solve our problems? Or will it actually free us up? To focus on bigger things, explore our creativity, connect with each other on a deeper level. It's hard to say for sure.
Almost like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
There's potential for good and potential for, well, not so good.
Right.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about what OpenAI is actually planning to do with Operator. You mentioned that they were going to give developers API access and integrate it with ChatGPT. So what does that mean for the average person?
Well, the API access, that basically means that developers can build their own applications and services using Operator.
Oh, okay.
So imagine like a travel app that uses Operator to book your flights, hotels, activities, all based on what you like, your preferences, or like a financial advisor app that uses Operator to manage your investments.
So it's not just OpenAI controlling this technology. They're giving other people the tools to create their own AI agents.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. But it also makes you wonder, who's going to make sure that these AI agents are being used ethically?
That's the big question. And that's why those partnerships with companies like DoorDash and Uber and Instacart are so interesting. What happens when AI agents are actually interacting with the real world,
Right.
in these really tangible ways? Are we okay with an AI ordering our food, booking our rides, managing our deliveries?
That's a whole other level of AI integration. It's a lot to take in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that rabbit hole of potential consequences, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier
Okay.
about how Operator actually learns and adapts.
Uh-huh.
You use the term reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more for our listeners who might not be familiar with that concept?
Sure. It's kind of like training a dog. You give the dog a command. If it does the trick right, you give it a treat. And over time, the dog learns to connect that command with the behavior because it's getting rewarded.
Go on.
Reinforcement learning is similar.
So you're saying Operator's like a digital dog, learning new tricks by getting rewards for good behavior.
In a way, yeah. But instead of treats, Operator is rewarded with data. So every time it finishes a task correctly, it gets more data. And that helps it understand how to do that task better in the future.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when it makes a mistake? Does it get like a digital timeout?
Haha. Well, Operator isn't perfect, right? It's learning all the time, getting better. And just like humans, it makes mistakes. But the important thing is that it learns from those mistakes. The system figures out why the error happened, and then it changes its approach. So it's less likely to make that same mistake again.
So it's not just about getting things right, it's about getting better at figuring out how to get things right. That's pretty cool. But what about situations it's never seen before, like something totally new, outside of its training data? How does it handle those curveballs?
That's when things get really interesting. Operator is designed to be adaptable. It uses logic, reasoning, even a bit of what we might call intuition to approach those unfamiliar tasks. So it can look at the situation, figure things out based on what it already knows, and make a guess about the best way to handle it.
Intuition. Are you saying an AI could actually have intuition? That's kind of mind-blowing.
Well, it's not human intuition exactly,
Right.
but Operator can, fill in the gaps and draw conclusions even when it doesn't have all the information, kind of like we do.
Yeah.
It's still a new area of research in AI, but it's one of the things that makes Operator so fascinating and potentially really powerful.
It's like we're watching a new kind of intelligence being born right in front of us.
Yeah.
But with great power comes great responsibility,
Mm,
or something like that.
right.
I think this is a perfect time to move on to the last part of our deep dive.
Mm.
We're going to explore what this all means in the long term, the implications of AI agents like Operator, and what they could mean for humanity. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to finish our exploration of this brave new world of AI. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring this fascinating world of OpenAI's Operator, all its capabilities, all the implications.
It's been a really interesting conversation. I mean, we've seen what this thing can do, how it works, and now we're kind of facing the ultimate question.
Yeah,
What happens when these AI agents like Operator just become a normal part of life?
it is both exciting and terrifying.
Right.
I mean, just imagine for a second you never have to worry about making appointments again,
Right.
or paying bills, or even remembering to buy groceries.
Right.
Operator just handles it all for you.
It's like the dream of convenience,
Yeah.
ultimate convenience, right?
Yeah.
To have this digital assistant who takes care of all the boring stuff,
Right.
and it frees up your time. You can focus on other things.
It sounds great in theory, but, a part of me can't help but wonder if we just become way too dependent on these AI agents. Will we even know how to manage our own lives anymore? To solve problems? To even just think for ourselves?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. I mean, we might end up becoming totally passive,
Yeah.
just letting the AI do everything for us. Like in those sci-fi movies where humans forget basic skills,
Right.
even their sense of purpose. all because they rely on technology too much.
It's like a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole other question of control.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who's really in control of these AI agents? Is
Yeah.
it the tech companies, the governments? Do we as individuals get any say in how they're used?
These are such important questions. I mean, if we don't set some clear rules and guidelines, right now, we risk ending up in a world where AI is only controlled by a few
Right.
and not actually used for the benefit of everyone.
It's like we're at a crossroads here. We've got this incredible technology, and it has the potential to make our lives better, solve big problems, maybe even make the world a better place. But there's also the potential for misuse, for unintended consequences, for a future where, I don't know, maybe AI just makes inequality worse or creates problems we haven't even thought of yet.
It really comes down to choices. The choices we make, like right now, will decide which path we go down.
So what can we do? How do we make sure AI is used for good?
Well, first of all, education. We have to understand AI, what it can do, what it can't do, the good, the bad. We need to talk about it, question things, and not just buy into the hype.
Yeah, and we need to demand more transparency from those tech companies, the ones actually building AI. We need to know how these systems work, how they're being trained, and what kind of safety measures they have in place.
Absolutely. And we have to be proactive. We can't just sit back and wait to see what happens. We have to be involved in the decisions that are going to shape our future.
I think that's a really powerful message for our listeners. The future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's up to us to decide what it looks like.
That's right. The choices we make now will create the world we live in tomorrow. So we better choose wisely.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, folks, that's going to wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI agents.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it? If you enjoyed the episode, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shaping the future.